curiosity. Last week, we looked at the sometimes competing feelings and emotions when we experience curiosity. On one hand, there's the excitement, what's over the next hill? And at the same time, we may have some hesitancy or even fear over what may be over the next hill. And then I told a story of the young boy who was given the Chinese handcuffs, and with no explanation what they were, how they worked or anything, and he held them, he looked at it, he played with it for a little bit, and sure enough, the curiosity got him, and he stuck his finger in one side, he stuck his finger in the other, and decided he better take it back out, and they captured his fingers. And he experienced that fear. But then he calmed down, he was able to push his fingers back together again, and then slowly extricate himself. The title of my talk today is "The World is an Oyster." First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out today. The roads are not the best. There's some type of sporting event going on later today, and some people may have decided to stay and watch the pregame. Well, that starts at like 9 o'clock. I mean, it's like 6 hours of pregame. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for watching today. It is indeed an honor. The world is an oyster. I have 2 points. First, I'm going to talk about the oyster and the pearl, and then secondly, I'm going to talk about curiosity and how that ties those two together. First of all, the oyster, the sand, and the pearl. This very basic concept shows how a grain of sand, which is a wives' tale, by the way, the oyster doesn't make a pearl out of a grain of sand. The oyster has plenty of things in itself in order to wash out any sand that would get into it. Typically, it is some type of parasite that is the irritant. But how this parasite enters an oyster and can be transformed into a magnificent pearl. The irritant ignites the oyster into action to relieve its discomfort. It intuitively uses that which is already present in its environment to alter the irritant. I think of it as oyster spit. It takes this irritant and surrounds it with oyster spit, and it keeps building up. Oyster spit. We too can transform our world and the world around us by addressing that which is causing discomfort in our lives. And we may very well find that everything that we need is already inside of us. Secondly, the fire and passion to reveal God's highest idea through you. The oyster's pearl to be revealed, the shell has to be opened, and we typically do that by boiling it or putting it in the fire, but we heat the oyster so that it will open up and reveal the pearl. This can be true for us as we reveal our pearls to the world. Often change, new ideas require strong conviction and a heavy dose of fire-filled passion to activate their movement out into the world. We have to feel it, and sometimes it's important for us to feel that irritation in order to move us to the point of action where we can actually move. Thirdly, be the change you want to see in the world. We all seem to have a strong desire to see change in the world, especially in the conditions that cause discomfort in our hearts. But we don't always know how to get started, and it can feel overwhelming, and often we give up before we even begin. We can approach it one small step at a time. Start by changing your thoughts, your actions, and become the change that you want to see in your own personal world. allow that revelation to guide your actions into the greater community. Buckminster Fuller once said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." Henry Ford was once asked by an interviewer about his concept, where he got the idea to mass produce automobiles, and even deeper, why automobiles? And his answer, I thought, was really relevant. He said, mass producing the automobile allow us to drive the costs down so that the average person can afford one and will be able to use one. And the reason for the automobile is that it's what people need. He said, if I would have just given people what they want, I would have been breeding faster, stronger horses. And sometimes we fall into that. We forget that we can do one small step at a time. It's an interesting story of a gentleman who started a new habit of walking around a lake that is near his house. And every Sunday morning, he would get up and walk around this lake. Might have been better off if he went to church, but he wasn't doing that. Instead, he was walking around the lake. And he began to notice that every Sunday, there was this lady, and she had some kind of a little box next to her. She had one of those fold-out camp chairs, and she was there with this little box. And he got more and more curious. And so finally one Sunday, the curiosity got to him, and he went up to her and he said, I don't want to, intrude on you, but what is it you're doing with that little box? And he looked down and he could see that it wasn't a box, it was actually a trap. And inside this trap were 3 little turtles. And she had a 4th turtle on her lap, and she had a sponge, and she was sponging off and cleaning the little turtle's shell. And she said, I come here every week and I catch a few turtles and I clean their shell, because the turtles will get algae and pond scum on their shell, and it keeps them from being able to absorb the heat. And it also slows them down as they swim. And so this helps those turtles. And he thought about it for a minute and he said, that's a very kind and noble thing that you're doing, but you're helping 4 little turtles. He said, there are hundreds and hundreds of turtles just in this little lake alone. And just in the area around here, there's thousands of little turtles. Are you really making a difference in the world? And she laughed and she said, if this little guy here could talk, he would tell you that I'm making all the difference in the world. My second point today, I want to talk about curiosity and how this story of the oyster and the pearl fits in with the theme of curiosity. If we are to really look at the things that are irritants in our lives, and everybody has irritants of one type or another. We all have problems in our lives. We all have issues in our lives. No matter how perfect we try to look on Facebook or how we try to do, we've all got issues. And as we try to deal with those kinds of issues, as we go within, we begin to get curious about some really basic stuff. And today I'll just talk about a couple of the really big ones, things like, why am I here? And what is the purpose of life? These are some pretty big questions, but to do that, we have to go within. And it is our innate curiosity that points us in the direction of asking some pretty deep questions. The inward journey of discovery, the desire to answer such questions as why am I here and what's my purpose in life, propels us to take a deep look at what makes us the unique individuals that we are. Many of us are curious about our journey through this life, and we often seek answers that are outside of us rather than looking for the oyster spit that's already within us. What we ultimately find is that the answers lie within. Ernest Holmes said, "It seems that man exists for the purpose of self-expression. There appears to be no other reason or excuse for his being. And the infinite has already implanted within man, an instinctive intuition, which is the spiritual knowledge of good, and his whole growth results from an inner awakening." Second, do we all have a unique purpose? The answer is absolutely. We are all unique expressions of the divine, here to share our individual gifts and passions. No other human being can ever ignite life the way that you can. Only you can do that. Recognize the importance of your life, because if you do not share your gifts, they will never be shared in your unique and individual way. Only you have your gifts, no one else. And it's not just, people in the New Thought movement or in religious science, centers for spiritual living, other parts of the New Thought movement that are saying this. These thoughts extend far and wide. Deepak Chopra wrote, "Everyone has a purpose in life, a unique gift or special talent to give to others. And when we blend this unique talent with service to others, we experience the ecstasy and the exaltation of our own spirit." We're all unique. We all have special gifts, and when we share those, we can step into that which is greater. Gary Zukav wrote, "Each soul comes to the earth with gifts. Each soul brings the particular configuration of the life force that is its to the needs of the earth, to the earth school. It does this with purpose and intentions." So a lot of people are saying this very same thing. Thirdly, don't let the fear win. When you're trapped in that Chinese handcuffs, don't keep pulling the other way. Don't let the fear take over. You can step back and you can get out. All too often, our fears and hidden beliefs will hijack our attempts to discover our glow. Our glow is that which makes us feel alive. It's that which makes us anxious for the next day. We become disillusioned, and the feeling of being stuck can dim the spark of curiosity. Be courageous. Dive in all the way into the center of the stream. Allow yourself to be carried by the current, discovering yourself along the way. This is how we find our purpose. Last quote, this is Ernest Holmes again. "There is an irresistible, universal, and divine urge within us to be happy, to be whole, and to express the fullness of life." And we can do that by that inward journey. Conclusion, what I want you to take away today: don't ignore that which brings you discomfort. Look directly at it and don't make excuses for why it is there and why you can't do anything to change it. Bring it in front and center to your consciousness and your heart. Begin working on it with what you already have within you, and allow your curiosity to reveal greater possibilities. Slowly, the irritant will be transformed into the pearl, and when you are ready, you get to reveal it to the world. So be courageous. Don't let your unique spark not find its life. know that there is no one else that can do you. Only you can do you. And so it is with this awareness of our innate individuality as expressions of a power in the universe that's greater than we are. I invite the practitioners to join me in holding our congregation, our city, our state, our nation, the entire globe in the hands of love and light. And simply knowing that as we face the irritants within our lives, we have that which was within us, the abilities, the skills to deal with every irritant. And when we can surround all those irritants with love, with peace, with joy, with harmony, we can find that they no longer have that power over us. The fear drops away. The shame and the guilt no longer have power over us. And as we go through life and we face the irritants, and we know that we find that there is not enough paycheck and too long a month, that we live in an abundant universe. And we are greater than any appearance of lack and limitation. That when we are faced with health challenges, very real health challenges, we know that there is a power in the universe that is greater than those challenges. And it is that power that we open ourselves up to. And when we feel separation from one another and separation from God, we simply know that it is impossible for us to be separate from that infinite creative force. For we are part of it and it is part of us. We are one. We are one with one another. We are one with God. And any appearance of separation, of discord, is only that. It is only an appearance. The capital T truth is that we are all expressions of the one. Unique in our gifts, unique in our own way to express that infinite creative force. So we just give thanks. We give thanks for this wonderful opportunity to experience life. We give thanks for our awareness of that power, that presence within our lives as who we are. And so we just step back. We can let this go. We can let it be. We release this word to the working of law, which always says yes. And so it is.
love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am.
Oh, thank you, choir. God, you guys are sounding great today. Wow. Thank you so much. Now it's the time in the service where, everybody's been looking forward to this. This is the new part of our service. The great minister jokes. When is the best time to go to the dentist? 2:30.
Grown.
Yeah. What do you get when you cross a snowman and a vampire?
Bloody snow.
Frostbite. Okay, now the purpose of here. We're going to let that go. Oh, see, we need to. Oh, my clipboard fell. Well, I can't read sideways. Oh, but it's good enough font, though, today. Some of the people that are joining us online, and this is only a fraction of we have Lynn and Marion, Kaleem, hoping he's fully dressed today. Teresa Tyers, don't know Teresa. Michelle Scammon, Susie Peterson, Cynthia George. Man, she was out there in her walker last night, those streamers out behind. Watch. Cindy Hensley. That poem she did was awesome. Michelle Kuntz. And after service today, they always have to remind me to say, we have coffee next door in the social area. Join us for coffee and maybe a cookie left.
And we have chocolate mousse.
Ooh.
Lots
That's
of
not
chocolate
motivation. I
mousse.
don't know what is.
Ooh. Boy, it was. Boy, it was a double thumbs up. For those of you who have missed it, last night we had a great celebration for Judy. Yeah, we even have. It was really great, and coming together. Judy even invited her hairdresser. That was awesome.
Hairdresser.
Yes.
Our hairdresser.
Dana's first, mine, Claire goes to the same shop. Yeah, there were
Well, you should have seen, and at one point we had Kaleem and Barbara and Karen. I'm trying to think who all was there. The hairdresser on stage up here doing the electric slide, and they were good. I mean, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Did you know that Judy's hairdresser won a marathon?
Really?
Yeah, she won a marathon. Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she knows a shortcut.
Oh, boo. She sure does. She does know a shortcut. Yeah.
I think we better do the affirmation and get this over with. On that note, join me in our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Thank you, God.